welcome back to my channel. First of all, I would like to apologize to all the colleagues who were waiting for me to upload few of more videos about Cmpa topics. I have been very busy with my residency and it took me a while to come back and work on my laptop. I'm so sorry for that, for waiting. Uh, now I'm trying my best to cover most of the topics of Cmpa as soon as I can so that everybody can get benefit. And I'm very thankful to all of your comments, all of your questions that makes me motivated to work on these channel. Those people who are new to my channel, I would say welcome. This is the channel for QE1 preparation. In terms of this, you won't find the specific common medical related topic. I will be more emphasizing on ethical and the biostatic portion of exam, because I feel like most of our IMGs are struggling with this thing, and it's always important that we need to know what the Canadian thinks in terms of ethics. And I believe the website which you see on my screen, Cmpa, is one of the most important website. You need to go through it. Don't skip it at any point, no matter what your QE1 preparation looks like. So without wasting any time, I would continue my privacy and confidentiality, and hopefully this will be the fourth and the last part of this topic, and then I will jump to start the good practice topics from the different one. So let's go see where we were. I have read the introduction, I have shared the information, mandatory reporting, permissive reports, breach of confidentiality and privacy. Now we have to cover all these things, which was communicating with the patients electronically, communicating with the colleagues electronically, and using social media. So let's get started by using the first subheading, which is communicating with the patients electronic. As medicine and technology have advanced, most physicians are taking advantage of the benefit of e-communication. Electronic health information system can improve patient care through better sharing of information with the specialist and the other healthcare provider within the patient circle of care, and better coordinate and access to services, particularly for patients living in remote areas. It's a very common thing. I don't have to explain why. When we have an electronic medical record, we send a consult to the patient who is living like 20 kilometers or 60 kilometers away from where you work, but you can ask one of your specialists who is like few hours away from you. So all these three things can be connected when you have a common platform, which is our electronic medical record kind of a thing. One of the major risks of using technology to communicate personal health information is that the information will be inadvertently disclosed to someone who should not have it. This is one of the major risk factors. There is always a benefit of using electronic things, but there is always a disadvantage or risk related to it. So one of the risk is maybe the information of the patient can be seen by someone else rather than the person you are addressing, and how it happened and why it happened, that's a different story. But this is the downside of using the technology. Unlike with the traditional paper mails, where the piece of paper can be shredded, the digital nature of the information makes deleting the information and preventing it disseminations to the countless others virtually impossible. Sometimes you say, oh, I delete this thing, but it left the imprints over there, and it can be accessed by someone else. It can be accessed accidentally, it can be accessed intentionally, we don't know. But if someone can access it, that makes someone in trouble, especially personal health information confidentiality is on breach. Inadvertent disclosure to an unintended recipient can happen in a variety of ways. Wi-Fi networks and telemedicine communication can be unsecure, particularly free Wi-Fi networks in public places and prone to digital privacy. I think we all are very used to connecting our phones and our laptops to the public Wi-Fi, which are free, but these Wi-Fi's uninternally can take few of the or most of the information from your laptop and can be shared on any other platform. This is a very least likely thing, but yes, it can happen. That's why they are talking about, when you are talking to a patient, don't try to use the free Wi-Fi networks, especially in the public places. Emails and text messages can be sent to the wrong recipient or be otherwise intercepted. It's very common. You have a phone number, just one digit change and your message going to somewhere else. Email, a one letter change, your email is going to somewhere else. It's very common, even though you write it down very well. But anything can happen. You did not recheck it, you did not reconfirm it, something can happen. Unauthorized readers can access computer files. Hacking, which is one of the biggest problem nowadays in any part of the communication. It's not just on the side of the health system. Mobile devices can be lost and stolen. I think one of the important thing for us is those of us who are taking care of our devices, where we are using EMRs, when we are using EPRs, your main concern is your device should be protected by the passwords, and it should not be loose or stolen. If it's loose or stolen, you have to report it to Cmpa and say that this has been done, I don't know what to do, and these things were inside, that patient's information was there, maybe patient's pictures was there, something like that. And you should not be taking it lightly, even though your password is there, or your password is like too strong for someone to hack it, but there is a possibility. So that's why this says, when you are communicating with patients electronically, keep in mind that what you are doing, where you are doing, how you can prevent it, what are the things you need to tell your patients when you are electronically communicating with them. So that could be one of the things. Now, communicating with the patients electronically, what does that mean? Many of our peoples and healthcare professionals are trying to be more virtual. That helps everybody's time, everybody's efforts, and that can communicate to different peoples on the two different regions placed. So many patients expect to be able to communicate electronically with the health provider in their circle of care. It can foster patients engagement, improve efficacy of care, facilitate scheduling and reminders. Electronic communications may also save time and unnecessary visits, for sure. Establishing and documenting a plan with patients regarding electronic communication is a prudent way to manage this mode of communication. You have to say sometimes, somewhere in your document, patient is agreed to be communicated electronically, by phone, by email, by video call, and patients understand the risk and the benefits of that. Risk and benefits was discussed, because if something happens, you give a call, oh, I got your results, I want you to give me a call back, or this is your results, and you don't know who is the person behind it. Maybe he's on speaker, maybe the phone was picked up by someone else. So you need to know that what kind of information you are giving, and there is always a chance of breach of that information because of the way of communications. So it's better that you talk to the patients ahead of time, so if something happens, you documented it and you can save yourself. It is important to clarify expectations and to discuss the risk of using email, text message, or other platform with the patients, taking into consideration whether the desired channel is secure. Patients portal, which will be described below, are likely more secure than email and texting. Cmpa has a template concerned to use virtual care tool. I think it's a very good tool, and let's suppose if you prefer to be using one day of your virtual care, then it's a good that you use this template and get the signature of the patient, so patient is aware what they want and what are the things they need to know if they agree to be using the communicating electronically. That may be used on the basis of an informed discussion. Even if the patient's concern is obtained to communicate via electronic means, the physician remains obligated to take responsible steps to protect their patient's privacy. For sure, the reason for getting the concern is patient is aware what are the risk and benefit, and second thing, if something happens, you have been documented something so you can save yourself. But the question is, does that means that your obligation doesn't go away? No, it should be. Your obligation should stays there. You still do all the efforts to keep it private. Physicians should establish policies and procedures for using electronic communications in their practice. Staff should be informed of the risk with each form of electronic communication and trained to follow the policy and procedures. Physicians should carefully consider what information may be shared electronically. Providing investigation results via the patient's portal or other means can be efficient, but it may lead to the possibility that patients misinterpret the results. Sharing results electronically is best considered as a part of the well thought out results test follow up plan. Sensitive and urgent information may be more appropriate communicating in person and by telephone. So always remember yourself, when patient is not in front of you and you're trying to say, oh, your hemoglobin looks this, but your platelets is fine, they might feel something is wrong, and you cannot see them virtually. You cannot feel their expression, you cannot feel their question mark on the face. That will make an misinterpretations, and that can give a trouble to the patient. So it's better that what you are doing, and if you are doing it, make sure you have a follow-up plan. So that means, let's suppose uh, someone did the biopsy, and the biopsy of the maybe pap test of the cervical check says, oh, she has ASCS ascus. And when we say ascus, patient doesn't know what is ascus, but when they google it, that will be a trouble, because Google can tell anything and everything, which is really not relevant. So what you do is, I have get your results and I would like to do a follow-up test with this 3 months. Would that be okay? Please give me a call. We can book an appointment for the next pap test or blah blah blah. The only thing is, you are giving them the information which they can do not misinterpret, which they do not try to Google it, and which you can say, okay, this is my plan. So this is my follow-up test we will be planning. So that will give them a security, and that will give them a reassurance that yes, my doctor knows what to do next. I don't have to worry and Google it, even though they will do it, but at least they know what their plan looks like, right? So, and the second thing is, if something is very urgent, let's suppose you got a biopsy and you say, oh, you have a cancer, don't tell on phone, just ask them to come in person. So make sure you try to be more sensitive on things which can be electronically shared, which cannot be electronically shared. Why and why not? So I think this is a very important thing. Even the patient's portal is very commonly used nowadays, and very secure password, ID, uh, concise to the healthcare professional kind of a thing. Patients portals has evolved into interactive secure tools that can greatly enhance communications between physicians and patients and help patients better manage the health. The multiple functions of the web-based portal include housing patients' profile and medical record, providing patients' education document, generating alerts and reminder for prescription and medications management, facilitating the booking on of appointments, enabling quick view of labs and investigations, consultations, follow-up messages to the patient. So this is very good. If someone is planning to use that one, it's a very good way. But there is always a downside. So, important consideration of using: establishing that portal is secure and accessible only to those who are authorized. That means you, your patient, your receptionist, because you are all in the circle of care, nobody else. Knowing that the platform meets the requirement of applicable privacy legislation, that's very important. Confirming with the patient that this portal is not being used for urgent messages or time sensitive issues. Let them know that we're going to tell you a few things here, but some things might not be coming up here for some reason, so it's better that you do communicate in person. Obtaining the patient's consent and submitting a terms and of use agreement online before granting a patient's password and access to the portal. Because why I'm saying consent, there is always a risk and benefit. So if you have taken the consent, patient is agreed to use that portal, go ahead, do it. But patient says, no, I don't want any of this my information on internet, just give me a call, I will come in person and we will talk, no matter what. That's a different story. So at least patient is aware, even though it's a secure, if it's a privacy policy applicable, the only thing is it's electronic, there is always a chance of breach. That's why consent is very important. Smartphone recording, very common nowadays. We say, oh, can we take a picture? So we need to share it with someone, we need to ask someone. It's very 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 common. Ubiquitous presence of smartphone has led to more requests by patients to record their interactions with their physicians. Often patients have a very valid reason for wanting to do so. They may wish to have an accurate record of their advice provided, or may be able to share the information with the family members. It may be possible with an understanding for the reason underlying the request to meet the patient's need without recording the entire encounter. For instance, it may be possible to record only the discharge instruction or informed consent discussion if the patient wants to record to serve a memory aid. This is talking about the patients who says, oh doctor, can we record it? Can we do a video recording? Can we do an audio recording? Because it will help us to remember what to do when we have epilepsy. You should not be showering. You will not be doing swimming by yourself. You are just using the shower, not the bathtubs. You are not driving these things, or some kind of a activity related to danger stuffs like motor vehicles, like heavy machineries kind of a thing. But physicians are free to accept or decline a request from a patient to record the encounter. You are not obligated to record it. You can say, no, I don't want it. I can write it on your paper, but I don't want it to be recorded. Or I can give you some pamphlet, I can give you some website or some resources to figure out, but I'm not going to allow you to record my voice or my picture. Some physician may, for example, find that the anxiety of being recorded impedes their use natural flow of conversations, and that recording a discussion may not be conclusive to an optimal physician-patient's relationship. If declining to create a recording, it is important to explain the reason of the decision and to offer a continue with the encounter regardless. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to say is, when someone says, can I record your conversations so that will remember me what to do, you can say no. But the reason of no should be explained. The reason of no is, if your recording is 6 minutes and I talk about the 6 minute things related to preventions and managements and non pharmacological stuff. But once you stop your recording and we are still talking, because I don't want you to record the whole encounter, I can tell you something little later which comes in my mind, or which pops it later, or which the discussion comes later. If that is not recorded and you will not remember those things, so that will make a conflict between what I told you and what you recorded. So you might follow the things which is recorded, but you might not follow the things which I'm telling you, and you haven't recorded it. So it's better that you write it down everything. If you want, we can give you a paper and pen. We can give you a handwritten stuff about the preventions or something. But till the end of the encounters, I don't want you to record everything, and I can speak as the flow of the conversation is going. I don't have to go 1 2 3 4 5. So these things way, and this can help the patient to understand, and this can help you to make sure that you are doing your job appropriately. You are not worried about what you are talking on recording, what your conversations looks like, what are the things you should be mentioning in the recording. No, you don't have to worry about those things. So that's the one thing. And other part is, uh, where we were. If declining to create a recording, it is important to explain the reason for the decision and to offer to continue the encounter regardless. And we can say, yeah, I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to complete my encounter. I'm happy to complete the visit. I'm happy to follow up with you. That does not make any difference if I decline my recording. If the patients insist on recording, physician will have used their discretions on whether or not to continue the appointment. If the physician perceived that the request to be due to the lack of patient's confidence in the patient's physician relationship, effort should be redirected at redeeming that issues. So I think this is very, I won't say it's very common, but it could be possible. So that's why it's important that we should know what are the things we can do to mitigate that they do not have the trust. If they do not have the trust, and if the relationship is not getting benefit, you need to talk about that portion rather than just throwing the information and sending the patient home. And they say, oh, patient, doctor doesn't listen to me, doctor doesn't do this, doctor did not told me this. So I think that would be the best way. Like, is that relationship is being beneficial for patient or no? So like, that's a question mark. That's a different story. Physicians are free to accept, sorry, any recording made at a time of the clinical encounter could be considered part of medical record, and the physicians are advised to make a note of the fact a recording was made, and if feasible, to keep a copy of the recording in the medical record. Why? Just think about it. You talk about the prevention of an epilepsy patient. You talk about swimming. You talk about bathing. You talk about stove. You talk about heavy machinery. And the recording stopped. And then after 6 minutes or after 5 minutes of encounter, you said, oh, you're not supposed to drive. But that was not recorded because recording was already stopped, right? But you have told it, no matter what you told it at what point in the encounter. But if that refers back to you in the code, or something happens, if the patient drives and patient is involved in a motor vehicle accident or hit someone, and then you don't know, so it's better that you keep a copy, and then you can say, oh, these are the things I discussed. So keeping a copy will say, patient says, oh, there was nothing in the recording, but in your document says, I told about the driver's license, I said that I'm going to send it to the transportation authority, that you are not able to drive for xyz reason until you are free from this, and blah blah blah. So I think your documentation and getting a copy will save you if there is anything happen like this. If the patient wish to record their visit, ask them what they are hoping to achieve with their recording. Seek consensus on a better alternative to achieve the same goals, such as recording part but not all of the encounter. Obtain a copy of the recording for the medical record. If there are concerns about the reliability of the copy of the recording from the patient, the physician may decide to offer a recording the encounter and provide a copy of the to the patient. Yeah, like you can say, oh, I can give whatever I wrote in my notes and I can give you the printout of that. So offer to record the encounter and provide a copy. Like, you can definitely record your on your devices and then offer it to them. Make their own recording at the same time as the patient. So these things are just to mitigate if something happens and there is a reliability issues. Although Canadian law allow patients to record their clinical encounter without their physician consent, the same does not hold true for the physicians. Physicians who wish to make their own recording for the patient's encounter must first obtain their patient's express consent. So this is like Anybody can open their camera and record a scene of a cardiac arrest on the middle of the road and someone is doing CPR, right? So this is the same thing goes. If you go to an office, you put a camera and you say, I'm going to record it. If a physician is not comfortable, they say, I cannot continue the encounter. But if patient wants to do it and you want to continue your encounter, that's a different story. So it's just related to the law. Physicians are responsible for protecting the privacy and confidentiality of all their patients of all their patients as well as their staff. Recording in the office waiting room, curtained treatment area as proposed to private rooms or other public places could capture identifiable audio and video information about another patients and the staff members and lead to allegations on the privacy breach against the physician. Being prepared to discuss these concerns with the patients will facilitate the discussion when refusing to allow a recording to go ahead. So that's why, let's say, if you're in a room, if you're in an exam room with the patients and there is no one else and patients wants to record what you're talking to them, then you are comfortable with that because there is no breach. But if you're talking to someone and there's a recording going on and someone knock at the door and the receptionist says, oh, Mr. Smith is outside, she has been waiting for you for 40 minutes and she's asking if she can go and book a new appointment, so that Mrs. Smith come on that recording, so that's a breach. So that's the one thing you have to make sure you talk to your patient. Physicians should prepare for patients recording and consider adopting a policy of the use of smartphones and other recording devices in their office. Any policy should distinguish between what is allowed in public spaces and private spaces. At a minimum, physicians should consider whether it is necessary to prohibit patients from taking photos and making videos and audio recording in the waiting room or other public area to protect the privacy of the patients and the staff members. Healthcare providers are likely over the course of their career to be recorded without their knowledge, and their communication style should reflect this possibility. Being recorded not need to be concerned if healthcare professionals always behave as though they have been recorded. By meeting the expected standard of care, using a robust patient-centered communication, being professional with everyone at all times. So that's what, like, if you work in a small town, you are inside your clinic or you are in the grocery store meeting someone, your behavior, your style, your way of communication should be always professional. That makes, even though someone make a recording in the grocery stores and you by mistakenly came on that, you will be acting as the same person as you can act in your office. So I think that makes the things like being professional with everyone all the time, doesn't matter where you are. So this is all about recording, communications, breach of confidentiality, patient's concern, what to expect, when to decline, when to explain things. I know it's a lot of information and I don't feel like you will get it a lot of questions, but you need to understand this. The only one important things which I would say is sharing the information appropriately via electronically, how much you need to know and how much you can do. So that's why I'm saying don't discuss someone's cancer on the phone, especially on their voicemail. Talk about their normal blood results, talk about how they are doing, how their symptoms are, how their follow-ups looks like, what are the follow-ups you want to do. Like, less sensitive areas you can discuss, but the more sensitive areas, do not try to do that. So I think that's a risk and benefit, and weighing which one is the more sensitive and which one is the less sensitive is always a judgment call, but that can help. And I think if you get a question like this, I hope you will be able to understand and navigate the answers, which one looks appropriate in that situation. So that will really help you, and it's very common practice, so you should be aware about these things. Now, second is colleague electronically communicating with the colleague electronically is perceived by many to be more efficient means of communication compared to pager or telephone calls. It can facilitate remote consultations, providing a shared forum for medical education. However, because texting typically lends itself to a casual style of communication, it may be seen as abrupt or unprofessional. Additionally, face-to-face interactions with the patients or other provider cares might be disrupted when engaging in the text conversations. So this is the same thing I told you. When you say, oh, your pap test shows ascus, they have no idea what is ascus, right? So you cannot feel their expression, you cannot feel their blunt face because they don't know what you're talking about, right? So this is the same go with the other providers too. A mindful approach to use of texting can help foster a healthy relationship with message recipient and the persons in the clinical environment. Prior to sharing any information, whether by text, email, or electronic medium, it is important to consider whether the recipient of the shared information is in the circle of care. When sharing identifiable information outside the circle of care, be to be for research, teaching, or learning, it is generally necessary to obtain express consent. Not doing so can result in a privacy breach with the serious consequences. I think if you're working in internal medicine, which you hope sometime in Canada, when you're working in internal medicine and you say, oh, this patient is having some kind of neurological deficit, how about I talk to a neurologist? When you try to talk to a neurologist, you just let the patient know, oh, I'm thinking that we should involve one of the specialists of the neurologist to figure out what their opinion looks like regarding these symptoms. How about that? This is okay, fine. So they don't care which neurologist you are going to take care, right? But if you don't know and you are saying, oh, your symptoms are very interesting, some of the teaching people wants to get your information, is that okay if I share with them? Then you have to take the express consent. They say yes or no. So these are the things you have to balance in your communications. What are the ways you are trying to tell, and why you are telling, and what is important to document. So I think talk to the patient, get express consent to share their information of sign and symptoms for the teaching purposes to XYZ doctor or XYZ group of people. So that makes you safer. Privacy consideration. Despite the convincing email, text messaging, and other communication platforms, these methods of e-communication are often least secure and the least private. Physicians who communicate via email, text, social media, or web portal needs to be mindful that they are governed by same legal and professional standard as would apply in other professional like hospital setting, family practice, clinics. So physicians who are communicating with these ways should be mindful about that. Relevant regulated standards include federal, provisional, territorial privacy legislations and guidelines published by the medical regulated authorities. To minimize the risk of breach, it is important to take the following actions. What are the following actions? Use encryptions, obtain a patient's consent, and have a real conversations. We are about to finish. I know it's been very long, but I'm trying to explain as much as possible so it will feed in your brain and you don't have to worry and revise all the times the things and understand the few of the concepts. Despite the convenience of email, sorry, I'm getting confused. This is where we are. Physicians have an obligation to protect the confidentiality of the patient's personal health information and to comply with the provisional and territorial privacy requirements. Privacy Commissioner agreed that the use of the appropriate encryption software to protect electronic messages and devices like mobile phone, laptop, portal hardware, USB keys is a reasonable safeguard under the circumstances. Encrypting data is the digital equivalent of handcuffing a briefcase with one of the wrist. Various enterprise solutions like Patient's Portal can provide encryptions, and an increased number of encryptions applications are available for the use of the personal devices such as smartphones. So it's just to tell you that you can use few of the things to make as much as secure as you can. Obtaining patient's consent. If using encryptions is not possible, physician considering using unsecured or unencrypted email, text messages should do so only for the information that does not include identifiable patient's personal health information like scheduling and reminders. In addition, the patient should be informed about and understand how these messages will be used, the type of information that will be sent, how the emails or text message will be processed, the risk of using emails and text. The discussions and the patient's informed consent should be documented in the medical record. Obtaining the patient's consent or using disclaimer in the email does not obviate a physician's legal and professional obligations to reasonably protect patient's health information. Physicians should train their staff on privacy requirement and have signed confidential agreements. I think I have discussed these things before, why we take the concerns, so I'm not going to explain it more details. And the last, have a real conversation. Finally, there are times when face-to-face, at least person-to-person communication may simply more appropriate. Example including conveying sensitive results or transferring patients requiring more complex care to colleague, where interrupting nonverbal cues and giving feedbacks may be essential to the interaction. So these are all the things you need to know, and sometimes doing face to face is the very important because you're conveying some sensitive results. That means a biopsy results show a cancer. Why I'm giving you the biopsy? Because this is a very sensitive matter. But if you say, oh, your sugar level looks good, it's 6.4, it was 7.5 before, that's a good news. You can tell them it's not that sensitive. So that's make a difference. Using social media, society expect the physician will adhere to the highest standard of professionalism. As a result, posting on social media, whether it personal professional capacity, may lead to unintended consequences. Engaging on social media offers opportunities and innovative options for learning and sharing information, but it is always come with risk. The consequences of unprofessional behavior on social media are often more significant because of its reach, potentially to go viral, and permanency, leaving a permanent electronic or digital platform. Once posted or recorded, the ability to retract a comment, photo, or video is very limited. Even though you delete it, someone already saved in their phone. Even though you remove the comment, but someone already read that. Having different personal and professional accounts in a one way to manage one's digital presence, but people may not differentiate between one platform and another. It is imperative to remain professionals and respect confidentiality at all times. I think this is the question: how much social media you use, how much information you share, what kind of things you share, because whatever you share stays there, and anyone who was being cared by you as a profession will be definitely seeing that. And if things goes viral, it will be a judgment call who thinks this way. So I think very vigilancy on social media is very important. I think it's a very important thing. When using social media, be it on personal or professional account, assume all content on the internet is public and available to all. Reviewing and combining with your college policies or guidelines on the use of social media. Establish and follow personal policies on the use of social media and follow it. Outline the same expectations from your staff. Make your guidelines known to patients, colleagues, and other providers. Respect patients' privacy. Do not provide professionalized medical advice outside of formal telemedicine or virtual care settings. Do not abuse or belittle colleagues, patients, or organizations. Think twice before posting. I like the last one. That's the one thing. Don't try to do that at some point of time in your life. If it give you trouble, you will definitely regret things. So I personally feel like staying away from these things will be very helpful. But if you are very vigilant and you know what you are doing, uh, go for it. So I think these things are, and I think following the college policies regarding the social media is very important. Okay, friends, so this was all about confidentiality and privacy. I hope the four parts was giving you a benefit of what to expect, what are the things we need to know. This is a very important part of our professional life, to make sure that privacy and confidentiality is being monitored. So I'm done with that topic. Probably I'm gonna start uh, professionalism, because I believe I have done the boundaries and cultural safety, and we're gonna start the professionalism in the next video. Stay tuned. Please give me a comment. Please like and share and subscribe to my channel. That can help me to understand how much the peoples are liking and what are their requirements, so I can try my best to fulfill. Thank you and have a great day.